Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Some background. This is a verse that's commonly taken out of context. Some important items of context. First, it's part of a summary closing thoughts to a letter, so the context is the full letter. In context, all things of this full letter are the enablers for spreading the gospel, which correctly falls into the calling for all of us to the two greatest commandments. And through him is the full recognition that our success is completely dependent on reliance on him, just as Israel needed to be reliant on him in order to achieve what God had set before them. Reminder, the early church was in a very different place than most of us today. For the prior 1500 years, God's people were clearly identified through a physical nation, the nation of Israel, and differentiated by the law. Now, Jesus changed that to be open to all people and differentiated by the gospel, which is summarized in seeking first the two greatest commandments. But the hard part was that this cross-cultural spiritual kingdom was hard to communicate in a world full of nations, kings, and borders. They needed to be able to communicate that now relationships and heart attitudes are at least as important, if not more important, than rules and outward actions. All this in the context of being vilified by the Romans and the Jews. They needed God to open hearts and doors if they were going to be spreading the gospel throughout the nations. So what did this letter and this verse mean to the original audience? They needed to trust in God in a completely new way. Previously, God won physical battles for the nation. Now they needed heart battles of individuals. It was going to take the Holy Spirit's guidance and power rather than the power of an army with arrows and swords. In a sense, the power needed to come from the same place, God, as it had for the last 1500 years. But now the goal was completely different. For us today, depending on where you live, doing all things and through his strength can mean very different things. If you're in a country where Christianity is banned and persecuted, you will directly sense this need much more clearly. If you live in a country where Christianity and personal accomplishment freedoms are more broadly accepted, your battle is more likely one to be of humbling yourself from a tendency to take on the battle in your own strength and wisdom, and discerning where God is working and what his role for you is. So, a summary thought. The best measure of our reliance on him is our prayer life. The more dependent we are on God, the more we will pray. So, subscribe or follow to us on our social media sites to be notified when more of these videos come out. Links to our social media sites can be found on the About Follow page on our website, or searching for the ID What's God Doing within the social media sites. Thanks for listening.